Right, as you can see on your screens, our next live discussion is all set and ready to go. In partnership with Accenture, we have a 45-minute discussion delving into how we can rethink business through a 2050 lens, a topic that's been discussed a couple of times already, and I'm sure we've got some great insights and ideas awaiting you in the next 45 minutes. For this discussion, we have a panel, an excellent panel, may I say, that's going to share some insights for you. We have Tak Ninami, the Chief Executive Officer at Suntory, Denise Legal, the Chair of Brunel Pension Partnership, Adrian Hallmark, the CEO of Bentley Motors, Lourdes Gant, the Managing Director at Manatee Holdings, and Andrew Cholton, the Managing Director at Accenture. This session is 45 minutes long, and if you're new to this broadcast, then there's ample time for you to get your questions in and have our speakers answer them. So do use the Q&A box to the side of the stream, and we'll try to get some of those questions answered through the discussion. But for now, it's my pleasure to hand over the reins to Lourdes.
Imagine it's now June 2, 2050. If we were meeting here 29 years from today, what has to have happened during that 29-year period for you to feel meaningful in your sustainability journey? Our topic is Lead the Sustainability Transition and how you can do it. We hope to inspire you to be proactive leaders and collaborative partners towards stewardship in the sustainability transition at the end of this 45-minute session. My name is Lourdes Gant, Managing Director of Manatee Holdings Limited. As your moderator today, I'd like to welcome the audience and thank the panelists for being here. The purpose of our panel is to give us insights on how to rethink business in the 2050 lens. Welcome, everyone. I'd like to start with opening remarks from each of our speakers, starting with Adrian. Welcome, Adrian.
Thank you, Lourdes, and thank you for the opportunity to participate in this. I think, first of all, why would a luxury car company be interested in sustainability? Well, the first thing I would say is that we've got a perspective that's even shorter than 2030 to make a radical change. So the company is now 102 years of age, and around our 100th birthday, we used the opportunity to reflect on what had made us successful over the first century, but more importantly, how would things change and how do we need to adapt our products, our operations, and even our brand itself and the way we interact with customers going forward. And we didn't start with trivial stuff, if I may say. To put that in context, we made a commitment that our factory would be carbon neutral as fast as possible. And now, because of the biggest solar array in a car park setting, plus the purchase of renewable energy for the remaining energy needs of the company, we are carbon neutral for 2 years, certified carbon neutral. We'll continue to drive down the energy consumption, but the operation side is already covered. Then we come onto the products. So we will electrify every powertrain within 3 years, and then 100% of our cars will be fully electric by 2030. That means no more engines. And when you consider, especially in our sector, we've built 200,000 cars over 102 years, 80+% are still on the road, so that's quite sustainable, but they all have big engines. Within 9 years, we'll have none. And this is quite a radical step for our company. But the big challenge on top of this is the supply chain. How do we get all of the materials, all of the logistics also to be carbon neutral? And we have a plan for that too. So we have a clear roadmap on electrification, carbon neutrality, and of course, a broader view of our role from a CSR perspective that we've been rolling out over the past 2 years or so. So we're in it for the long haul. We intend to be around for another 100 years, but within 9, we will be fundamentally transformed.
That's fantastic. Let's move over to Andrew from Accenture.
Thanks, Lourdes. Well, the topic here is about 2050, but the reality is that we don't have that much time. This decade, the 2020s, is the decade of action. And so it's great to hear from CEOs like Adrian and other business leaders that real action is happening now on the time frame, not of decades, but of years. Incredible to hear that 100% of his cars will be electric by 2030. From our perspective, Accenture has made a commitment that in this decade, sustainability will become the new digital. And what we mean by that is just as digital technologies transform the way that we live and the way that we work, so too sustainability will drive new value and growth in this decade for us. I think for a professional services company that works a lot and advises other companies, we have to recognize that this challenge is not easy for many of our clients. CEOs still face the profit motive. They still have to hit their numbers. They still have to deliver returns for their shareholders. And sustainability is another challenge on top of that. You know, we are a long way from the 1970s when Milton Friedman was able to confidently say that corporations should just focus on making money within the law and leave other decisions about values to individual shareholders. Today, companies have to do both. They have to deliver a profit and they have to also deliver on sustainability and broader social responsibility. So our approach at Accenture is to try and embed sustainability in everything we do with our clients with a view to reconciling those two challenges. And that means creating value through sustainability, not in spite of sustainability, to ensure that we can lift profits in a way that is sustainable. Now, there might be people who say, well, that's the Goldilocks world, that's pie in the sky. But increasingly it's not. Increasingly we're seeing that the most efficient supply chains are the greenest supply chains. That operations that embrace digital transformations also reduce waste and reduce carbon impacts. That responsible operations also reduce risk and create value. That businesses that embrace sustainability are embraced by their customers, good for the planet and good for their sales. Investors who see responsible and sustainable practices are delivering lower costs of capital to the companies that exhibit those characteristics. So sustainability can create value, and as much as we work to ensure that those two objectives of profitability and sustainability are as aligned as they can be, the easier it will be to make this transition. Thanks very much.
Thanks, Andrew. We'll move to Denise. Welcome, Denise.
Thank you very much. So as a asset pool of pension funds, many people find pension funds very uninteresting and don't really care about pensions until they're about to retire. But pensions, asset owners have a huge role to play in shaping the future of our world as we see it. So Brunel is one of 8 national local government pension scheme asset pools. And we have around 30 billion that we invest, and our clients, our shareholders, are counties mainly, and the Environment Agency. The chair of the Environment Agency spoke yesterday at this conference. Responsible investment lies at the heart of everything we do. We believe in making long-term and sustainable investments that are supported by robust and transparent processes. Primarily, we're here to protect the interests of our clients and our beneficiaries, the ultimate pensioners. And we do so by working in partnership with asset managers, data providers, and the broader asset management industry, all with the purpose of creating better outcomes and hence better futures for all of us. This is evidenced quite well in a report that we've recently released, which shows our responsible investment and stewardship outcomes. That's on our website and is accessible to anyone who might be interested in what we're doing. We launched that report to show our clients, our shareholders, employees, and the broader industry how we perform against our own principles and our own sustainable investment targets. We advocate strongly and publicly for industry change across a number of areas, and we believe that it's fundamental that we look at ourselves first. The rather extraordinary events of 2020 enabled us to shine a strong spotlight on several of the issues that are covered in that report, among them diversity and inclusion, human capital, climate change. And we welcome the added scrutiny that that report has resulted for us. We believe Brunel is really strongly positioned for it, given both our extensive reporting practices and on climate change more specifically, our involvement in enabling the launch of the IIGCC, that's the Institutional Investors Group on Climate Change, their groundbreaking net zero investment framework that helps monitor what our portfolios are actually doing from a carbon emissions point of view. And all the while, we remain focused on the broader aim of forging better futures by investing for a world that's worth living in. That's our strapline. We live it, we breathe it, and that means that we need to think about issues across a range of asset classes, industries, and geographies, and then take appropriate action in collaboration and partnership with our asset managers and our clients. The results of those actions are strongly in evidence increasingly. And we believe that at Brunel, our role as a pension pool makes it imperative for us to address these issues holistically in line with our clients' needs so that the interests of pensioners, people, and the planet are considered together. Thank you.
Thanks, Denise. And last but definitely not the least, Tak.
Thank you, Lourdes. It's a pleasure to join this keynote panel. I'm from Japan. Let me introduce Suntory. That's my company. It's been almost 120 years since we were founded. And our founding spirit is to give back to society. And society has been so much a blessing to us to be able to do business more than 120 years. And we are CPG company. Product portfolio of us is the alcohol and non-alcohol beverages. Our brands, famous brands are Yamazaki Hibiki whiskey, competing with the Scotch, and Orangina soft drink, and the nutritional products, mostly operated in Asia. And we operated worldwide in more than 120 countries. As for sustainability issues, definitely the bottom line is it's not option for a business, but it's an absolute must. So to gain trust from society, we have to do a lot of things for the sake of the planet and people, next generations to come. And we like to keep our license to operate. This is a good competition. It's not bad competition, I believe. Nowadays, it became a competition, like how we can reduce greenhouse gas emissions. It's good. And we used to have bad competition, utilizing a lot of natural assets, like natural resources. Nowadays, how to reduce and how to get it to zero. That's a good competition. And another issue is how to be transparent to all the stakeholders. And that is very important. And we set our goals, and we have to explain what kind of status we are to all the stakeholders to keep the license to operate and keep motivated for our employees. And let me explain about our pledges. First, natural water. Cultivating more natural water than we use worldwide by 2050. Two, eliminating all the use of virgin petrol-based PET bottles and make them to sustainable bottles by 2030, and achieving net zero GHG emissions across our entire value chain by 2050. The goals that we have set are definitely challenging, and two factors are needed to achieve. One, partnerships. Two, technology, as you folks are talking about. But as Andrew mentioned, our shareholders are always greedy. So we have to make money. So cost is challenging, but we require lots of investment to achieve those goals. But we must leverage the challenge and make it an opportunity to re-engineer our business models. This is a great opportunity, and take a look at all the landscape so that we can be more efficient. As I said, achieving our goals is imperative in order to sustain our business. I look forward to further discussions with you. Thank you very much.
Thanks, everybody. And I mentioned a while ago about Imagination Society. So I'd like to start with the first question. As you know, I'm mentioning Sustainable Business 5.0. And the question is, what are the trends that you're seeing in your industry? As Society 1.0 is the hunter-gatherer society. We move to the agrarian society, which is 2.0, and 3.0 is the industrial society. And then in the last decade, it was the information society. As we move to sustainable business 5.0, what are the trends that you're seeing? So we'll start with Tak, since the 5.0 society came from Japan.
Thank you. In case of a beverage industry worldwide, as long as and plus Japan, single-use plastic PET bottle, that's a big issue. It's not the key component or factor for the of the ocean pollution, but I'm sure how to deal with the plastics is to resolve lots of the ocean pollution and damaging the biodiversity. So in our industry, we collaborate how to resolve plastics issue by bringing partnerships across the industry, and plus technology that matters. But technology needs lots of investment. But it's surprising that we can bring lots of partnerships, like our competitors sometimes, and we work together how to collect the used PET bottles from consumers. We scheme up together how we can effectively collect the PET bottles from the hands of the consumers. But the key thing is technology that matters. We invested to new technology from wasted plastics to make virgin plastics. So people say plastics, that is evil. But as long as we can make it use of technology in a good way to recycle plastic bottles, we can make it friendly to society. Again, we are determined and we are committed to tackling the PET bottle issue so that we can alleviate huge issues of biodiversity and the water pollution and ocean pollution.
Thank you, Tak. Denise, what are you seeing in the pension fund industry as the trends for the digital decade?
Well, we're seeing a very big shift in mindset, largely as a result of the pandemic. There's a heightened awareness on human capital, social awareness, etc., and how that's translating for asset owners such as ourselves is that we're able to exert a lot of pressure through engagement with companies on not just setting targets. It's fine to set targets, but what actions are you taking against those targets, and are they meaningful? In other words, we're trying to avoid investing in companies that might be greenwashing on their ambitions, and rather we want them to be walking the talk. We tend, at the moment, we don't believe in disinvestment. We'd rather have a seat at the table to work in partnership with companies so that they walk the road down to that net zero target alongside us as asset owners. And this is gaining a lot of traction. We see greater government policy, as we've heard yesterday. Governments are taking this seriously, not just for political purposes, but I think there is a call to action now that is very real. And we've got some very good examples of what some companies on the ground are doing. For example, just a small example like Unilever, who have launched a 4-day week for staff in New Zealand, or Kingfisher Group, are announcing opening 400 stores. Barrett Homes, cleaner energy for the homes that they're building, et cetera, et cetera. So there's a lot that's happening. There's more momentum, and it's meaningful. It's not just having to tick box, that we're participating in this global trend. It's survival for a lot of the companies that we engage with.
Thanks, Denise. That's really amazing. You mentioned greenwashing. That's in the forefront of my mind because, as you know, sustainability is not just a marketing term anymore. Yeah. And here in Canada, we've even changed it now to climate positive or future positive. But I'd like to go next to Andrew. What are you seeing in the, services industry?
I mean, I'd underline Denise's point about a big shift in mindset. I think particularly in the last year, the issue of sustainability has moved from an investor relations issue to a CEO issue and an issue right across the business, an issue that touches customers and operations, and increasingly a long-term business continuity issue. The second trend, I think, is around the role of investors and investor activism, which I think has really increased over the last year. And, you know, I say this not just because Denise is on this panel, but I think it's a great thing that investors, particularly pension fund investors, are taking such an active role now. You know, there are so many forces in business that cause people to be short-term, you know, the quarterly sales cycle, the annual reports, and to have investors with really long-term horizons like pension funds, with broad community backers that speak for large parts of the population, that's a really strong, stabilizing, long-term force in a corporate world where there are so many short-term pressures. So I feel really optimistic about the continued growth of the trend of investor activism, particularly from pension funds. The third trend, I think, is new solutions, and this is a real source of optimism as well. Lots of new technologies becoming available, new tools becoming available, new data becoming available to help people analyze their supply chains, reduce their waste. I think TAC made some great points about waste reduction that are becoming more and more possible as we get better data and more technology. And those trends, I think, are making the challenge of becoming a sustainable business easier, more affordable, and more aligned with the other objectives that the businesses have.
Great. Thanks, Andrew. And last, and again, not definitely the least, Adrian, what does Bentley Motors have in store for us for the trends?
Yeah, I think a lot of what I just heard, I could repeat from our industry lens. But I think the first trigger to all of this is a growing consciousness of the impact that we all have, whether it's your car, your drinks, or any consumption that we all participate in. We're becoming more and more aware of the total impact of that consumption. And this affects both consumers and us as business people. But I think, as Andrew said, technology then is the key. So if you take the automotive business, about 14% of global emissions come from transport, not cars, but planes, trucks, trains, and private vehicles, 14. And if you look at luxury cars, it's a tiny percentage of that. But still, if the technology is there to neutralize the impact of CO2 or any other negative effects, then we have a duty to adopt that technology as fast as is feasible. But we can only do that if it's economically viable and consumers are interested in that technology, because often it comes at an early cost premium and with less convenience than old-fashioned technologies. Like there are fewer charging stations than gas stations at the moment. So what we're seeing is there's a definite pull from consumers. They're becoming more aware, and even in the luxury sector, they're open to and looking for sustainable ways of travel. Secondly, in our colleague base, in our company, we have regular sit downs with 10 or 15 people from all different levels and all different functions across the company. We used to do it face to face 2 times a month. We now do it virtually because of COVID, of course, to keep people safe. And it's interesting how more and more the questions that are coming to me are, we love the strategy, but why can't we do more quicker in certain aspects of sustainability? 3 years ago, that was not the case. It was far more internally focused. So I think both consumers and colleagues at work, everybody in the workplace, have grown in knowledge. Technologies are out there to recycle waste, to reuse water, to reduce carbon emissions, to reduce our total impact. And we as a company have now got the full support of all of our workforce to try and drive that change forward. So I think we are at the beginning of, as many have said, a positive cycle, a reversal of maybe naive, negative impact on the environment. As we get more and more enlightened, our customers, our colleagues, they want to make a difference. And by having a strategy that's clear and gives a platform to make that difference, both to buy the products, but also to change the way we operate internally, that's really my job and our challenge and opportunity at Bentley. So those are the two key trends: technology and attitude shift.
Sounds great. Thanks, Adrian. And my next question is that you already mentioned the trends in terms of, circular economy will make big strides and technology in supply chain management. One of the things that I'm seeing as well is the Gen Z and the millennials together account for around 350 billion in spending power in the US. And Gen Z alone makes up to 40% of global consumers in 2020. So I'd like to address this question first to Adrian, because I know you guys already expanded to another market. You had what you called Bentley babies. And so for the panel, I'd like to ask, is there any sustainability efforts in 5.0 modality in terms for the millennials and the Gen Z? So Adrian, I'd like to start.
It's an interesting one because we don't differentiate by age. Mm-hmm. It's often, even the question suggests that younger people are more environmentally conscious than older people. And in our research and in my conversations with real customers, there's no difference. If you're at the leading edge of thinking, if you're interested in the world around, it doesn't matter whether you're 15 or 75. You'll still have an open mind to these challenges. I mean, David Attenborough is far more out there than most 15-year-olds in terms of what could be and how things could be different. And he's also more positive than most people about the fact we can change. So we don't segment our sustainability approach by age. There is one simple goal. That's to become neutral in terms of carbon and environmental impact, and positive in societal and ultimately environmental impact. And post 2030, our mission is to go from neutrality to positivity. And whether you're 15 or 90 years of age, like Sir David, we don't differentiate. What I would say is that if we look at, we do every 2 years, we do a broad analysis on brands and consumer attitudes. We do it as part of a group, a consortium of luxury brands. And it's amazing the profile we have with the under 30s in all major markets around the world. I don't yet fully understand why, but we will. But we over-index massively in terms of appeal and relevance in these younger target groups. And that's before we've really embedded and delivered against all of these new goals that we've set ourselves in Beyond 100, as we call it. We don't differentiate by age. We just have simple, lofty goals for 2030 and positive after 2030, environmental and societal. That's simple.
Thanks, Adrian. And I'd like to go next to Andrew, which is fitting because I know you're one of the youngest in terms of the panel here, and you have an award to be the youngest senior advisor to someone important. So maybe you can share with us your experience in this question.
Look, I agree with Adrian. I don't think this is an issue just for young people. I think it's an issue for everybody. And we're seeing pockets of real interest in these issues right across the community. I think one of the really powerful elements here is some of the new tools that people are using, including social media, blogs, citizen activism. A lot of this is creating more momentum around these social issues, opportunities for people to get involved, and great opportunities for brands to create connections with people who care about these issues. We know that brands that have a sustainability element to them are growing across the board significantly faster than brands that don't. They're finding a way to create connection with consumers, particularly consumers who are jaded by many traditional forms of engagement, traditional advertising and marketing activities. So, this is a way for brands to connect with, younger consumers, but also people across the board in an authentic way, kind of matches where people are at in terms of their willingness to engage with the companies whose products and services they buy. But also matches the times and the urgency of action on these issues over the next decade.
Thanks, Andrew. And I don't want to be accused of ageism, so pardon me if that's what's coming across, but I'd like to start with TAC because Asian genes look younger, but maybe not younger. But just to clarify, the millennials and Gen Z want to connect with something and they want to know who they are supporting. And if they don't know what your brand identity is, it's unlikely to be supported or unsupported. But go ahead, TAC, what's your take on this?
Thank you. I sense that younger generations have less patience to slow action, and they are more innovative. So first of all, they are responding to any kind of action, and they are so much stringent and strict about greenwash. And we have to be very honest to them. And we can't disguise we are doing this and that. We have to show evidence. We need a metrics to show what we are doing and we are not doing. So from that sense, they are our good responders to correct our action. If we are slow, we have to take some actions to correct our action to be. And second thing is partnership with the NPOs and NGOs. That is quite important other than the business. And we have the lots of the key players in the civil society led by Gen Z and the millennials. And me, like the person working for very old company and rather older generation, I think it's good to communicate with the younger generations because I can decide a lot of things, but I want to listen to younger generations, what kind of actions we need and what the kind of greenwash we have from their sense. I think we are doing fine, but we have to listen to them. So they are great responders and I esteem them. And that's good for us for recruiting purpose as well. We need good people. So we have to be very much honest to that. Thank you.
Thanks, Zach. And of course, Denise, what's your take on this?
Yeah, well, a lot of our employees are of that generation, and they're very strong advocates of doing everything sustainably. And to Adrian's point about why they're so interested in Bentley, well, that doesn't mean they're not aspirational towards beautiful things or things but they want things that last. And if we quote David Attenborough in one of his recent interviews, so the interviewer said, "What would you say in a word that we need to do?" And he said, "You need to consume less and waste less." And I think younger people are very conscious of that. I had a very good example where our barbecue the grill was a bit rusty and I was going to chuck the whole thing out. And my son said, "Well, that's not very sustainable, is it, Mom, when you could just buy a new grill to replace the rusted one, and maybe you might clean it once in a while so it doesn't rust." But it's that sort of attitude that they have that, and with clothing, fashion was almost something you wear once and throw away, and they're not doing that now. They're looking for durable things. They go to charity shops when no matter whether they can afford new things, they'll look for quality, durability, so that they don't consume as much. So I don't know what that means for the corporate world, for the the disposable clothing industry, which has contributed a lot. Lourdes, you'll know through the water that they consume, etc. So I think it's a good thing, but I also accept the point about age, that you don't have to be young to be very aware of. I grew up in Canada, and I've always been environmentally aware, and that's not going to stop anytime soon.
Well, thanks, everyone. We have a question from the audience. Achieving sustainability is like winning an Olympic gold medal. The training required for is intense and often uncomfortable. What should our training include? So maybe because of time, maybe one sentence each. Would you like to start, Denise?
Sorry, what should our training include?
In terms of the intensity and feeling uncomfortable in achieving sustainability.
patience. It's a journey. It'll take time. You have to remember when in the 50s, everyone knew smoking was bad, but it wasn't until a lot of years, there was lots of data to support that it was bad. And then so we couldn't smoke in airplanes, and then we couldn't smoke in restaurants. And now some people still smoke, but they are increasingly in the minority. So, if you are always striving for the ultimate goal, don't lose sight of it. But remember that it'll take you a lot of time and a lot of patience and practice to get there. That wasn't one sentence, I'm sorry.
It's all right. Jack, would you like to give your take on this?
Leadership of CEO, and people are watching you, what you are doing, and less consumption, less. So you are a key player and actor and actress to be a showcase.
Thank you. I love that. I once heard your life is your marketing. Andrew, what's your take on this?
Yeah, I think my one sentence would be that it's everybody's responsibility, and that responsibility has to start now.
Thank you. Adrian?
Yeah, mine would be let people express themselves and come up with ideas themselves. Because often, whilst I agree with TAC that we have to lead as CEOs and board directors, often the best ideas come from very basic day-to-day things that are wasteful. And getting everybody engaged every day, for me, is the way that you get the real training, bottom up.
Well, thanks everyone. So at this time, I'd like to have a wrap up. What's your biggest takeaway from this session? And we can go from there. Adrian, would you like to start this?
Yeah, it's been quite interesting. I think although we all look at this topic regularly, for me, I think there are two things. One is transparency. We've been transparent about our strategy, but it's made me question how transparent are we about our progress towards that strategy? And the second insight is who should be our critical friends, or maybe not even friends, to help us judge, the broader stakeholders, to help us judge our true level of progress. I think those are the two things that I will take away and reflect on further from today.
Thank you. Andrew?
Yeah, I took away a few points that I think are worth underlining. One is everybody was talking about the mindset shift that's occurring right now. I think that's really significant and really real. Secondly is the forces that are propelling this, customers who are demanding it, technology which is making it easier and creating new ways to be sustainable. And finally, the urgency that this is a challenge that we need to address in the near term.
Thank you. Denise?
Well, I've always felt that there's sort of 5 pillars for us to get there. There's the individuals, there's the companies, there's communities, there's governments and asset owners. And today hearing from TAC and Adrian on what their companies are doing gives me a huge amount of optimism for the future. If more companies are doing that and they're supported by governments, communities, and the individuals that consume their goods, then that has to be a good thing for us in achieving that very ambitious target of net zero by 2050.
And last but not least, TAC.
Thank you. I echo everybody. And I like to take a more agile action and agility, urgency. That's what we have to get the society, everybody aware. We have to be in a hurry to take action. And the technology, that matters. Mm-hmm. And I think we have to have a bigger radar to find the technology more.
Sounds great. Thank you. So what I took away from this session is the mere fact that everybody is on their way to Sustainable Business 5.0, wherein it's not just about technology that will help supply chain management, but old-time principles that are tested as well in terms of new or old generation. Maybe we're not calling them old, maybe we'll call them just tested generation. And of course, in terms of what Adrian mentioned about everybody is getting enlightened and getting quicker as well as entrepreneurs, that's one of the things that we've always solved. Which one is better, cheaper, and faster. And so that's my biggest takeaway from this session. I'd like to thank our audience and Accenture for sponsoring this session. Of course, Reuters for having this session, our audio and audio-video crew, and each panelist. I feel so honored to be in the shoulders of giants, and I look forward to connecting more with you. Maybe one word in terms of our Sustainable Business 5.0 for me would be Imagination Society for both the young and the tested generations. Maybe one word from Adrian.
Again, I'd like to thank you all for the opportunity to participate in this discussion. It's a really good opportunity to reflect, and yeah, I've enjoyed it immensely. Thank you.
Andrew?
Yes, thanks for the opportunity again, and thanks for being a terrific chair. Thanks lots.
Denise?
Yes, thank you very much. And it has been inspirational to hear all of your different views. Thank you.
And Tak?
Andrea, I want to buy your car. No combustion. So I promise. Please give that opportunity.
Call me later.
Yes, well, Tak will provide the whiskey. Tak will provide the whiskey for everyone.
Yes.
Perfect. We'll have a Sustainability 5.0 party. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. What a great discussion. And I thoroughly enjoyed it. And if you are having that party, do invite me as well. Happy to join. Okay, what a great discussion. And we're going to keep things moving on. We have one more session until we go into the break for today. So, yes, one technology, and we're looking at switching gears somewhat. So